Hey guys, Disler Magic here, and it's time for the traditional post-game report from the pre-release. Now, usually I'll go to like 3 or 4 different types of events, but I didn't really feel like driving and I was working all weekend. But I did make it to one, and we're talking like the casual, we barely have pre-release packs left, who gives a crap, everybody's tired level event. Yeah, this was not the big midnight one, but I will say that I played much more competently than I did at midnight, although I'm usually pretty good at lack of sleep. Because honestly, I don't go to bed till 2 o'clock every day anyway. So just to fill you in, on our last episode with the Amonkhet pre-release, it was terrible. Nobody had fun, all the decks sucked, nobody could get anything to work, and one guy had an overpowered deck. I mean, there was just no synergy. It sounds like what I've heard about Kamigawa sealed. I mean, you just can't get anything to go together. It's like, oh look, I put out a vanilla 3/3, good for me. You know, like all the good tribal boost was like up in rarity, all the best removal was up in rarity, or whatever. I don't even remember specifically what was wrong other than nothing worked together. Well, this one was completely different, which is kind of funny when you consider that 2 of the packs were from Amonkhet, but if you only have half the cards supporting any given mechanic, yeah, it's gonna suck. It was kind of the same with energy, like you couldn't really get it going quite as well as you could with Aether Revolt. And honestly, that carries over to Constructed too, but this time around, I mean, there was so much like self-contained decision-making and optionality. You know, and then there was just a ton of stuff that I actually really hate in Constructed because it's just annoying to play against, although obviously it benefits, you know, any deck I build. And that is the whole, oh, it's a land, but also it does this, and oh, this is a creature, but also when it dies this, and oh, this is a spell, but also this. Oh my gosh, it's like a bad infomercial, like, but wait, there's more. But that was really cool at the pre-release because it gave you late game options. It's like, yeah, I've got a desert and maybe I've got something that works with the desert, but otherwise I can drop a -1/-1 on one of your creatures. So right, you know, 15 turns later when you exactly need it, you shrink a creature or kill like a 2/1 or a 3/1 and boom. So that's kind of cool to have like sleeper cards and build like a more complex board state, because complex board states sound difficult and annoying, but they really do make games more fun instead of just, oh look, he had more creatures than me, wow, oh look, he had more kill spells than me, ooh. You really do need dynamic gameplay, both in Constructed and Sealed, and I think that Hour of Devastation definitely pulled it off. And honestly, like, with very few exceptions, like the last 12 sets, I'll say, were really designed to be drafted or played in Sealed. This block, I would say it is especially true. And I don't know if that's like for online, because I know drafting and pseudo-sealed after the pre-release is not really that big in paper cards, but I heard it's huge online, absolutely huge on MTGO. So I think that's why they made the set not absolutely miserable to draft, or, you know, something where it's like if you don't have the one rare, then you might as well not even play werewolves. You know, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're going to be missing half of what you need, and every single color is just going to be crap. Yeah, those sets don't do well, except Constructed, where you would put in 4 of whatever makes werewolves good, we'll say. So I think the big factor leading to that was how widespread were the mechanics, and they were pretty widespread, especially since there's a lot of carryover from Amonkhet. So overall, way more fun, and personally, everybody there was like super cool. About half of them I kind of had seen before and half I've never seen before, and you gotta wonder why they don't show up for Standard. I really am starting to think it's like a money thing. It's not even necessarily like they don't have the money because they're like 14 and don't have a job. It might just be like they just don't want to spend money on that. They'd rather, like, I don't know, fix their car, or like buy a bicycle. Oh, or video games, let's be honest. People are gonna go to the Steam sale before they go to the bike shop. Well, but then again, Pokemon Go, I mean, that's the great equalizer right there. You bring games out into the real world and it's like a whole other thing. I mean, I'm thinking about buying a skateboard just to move around quicker on the sidewalks when I'm playing Pokemon Go, and that wouldn't normally be my scene. I mean, compared to like the people skating around normally in my city, I'm like Tony Hawk old. The funny thing is I don't look it. I mean, seriously, like the last time one of my friends saw a picture of me when I was like 16, he's like, do you even age? I mean, I don't go out in the sun and my diet's pretty good, so no. And if you look at my mom, like honestly, she still looks about like 25, so yeah, good genes, yay. My brother's like going bald though, but I'm not. But then again, you go to Magic the Gathering and that kind of does bring gaming into the real world. I mean, not really MTGO, but kind of. Like, if you consider MTGO and the paper card game the same thing, and people play both and they're interchangeable, which is not true for probably even the majority of people, they just pick one. But for the big crossover ones, it's like, oh, I play MTGO, but I go to the pre-releases. You know, that's where I go play Paper Magic. Hey, ta-da, the original game that gets you out in the real world. I mean, Monopoly ain't gonna do that. So just a little interesting take on that, but as usual, I tried to be as friendly as possible. You know, if anybody needed anything, I got lands, I got sleeves, I got top loaders, whatever. You know, being polite, congratulating people on beating me, which did not happen very often. So congratulations were in order in that case. You know, just general stuff to make them want to come back, but if they're like hard set against it, they just don't have the budget or don't want to spend money on Magic, then whatever. And of course, as you know, the net deckers saying, oh, if you want to stand a chance at winning, you got to spend $300 on a deck. You know, they're not really helping. Like, seriously, if people would just shut up about that, we would probably have 40 million players instead of 20. Like, no joke. And of course, like I said, the people who showed up were like super cool. There was no real jerkish people there at all. And it wasn't just like neutral people there where they're like not very sociable, you know, they're not joking around, but they're, you know, they're enjoying it in a subtle way. No, these were like some crazy hyper geeky people. Like, we were quoting memes and stuff, dude. And of course, the game is more fun to some people if you're joking around, messing around, playing around, but still like playing legit, you know, playing within the time limit and following the rules. So the people were cool. The set was cool. Overall, I don't know, 9 out of 10. You know what skews it a lot? Here's my results. I guarantee I wouldn't get a 9 out of 10 if I lost like all 4 rounds. So I won 2 rounds, I lost 1 round in 3, and I tied 1 round. And then for the little quick tiebreaker that we did, I won the actual pack. Because that particular day they did win a round, win a booster. So I ended up winning 3 Cat boosters, which is awesome. And so, get this, I lost the first match, and the second match I got paired up with somebody who won the first match. And I will say, okay, so I lost in 3, and then I won in 3 the second match. I think every single one was 3. I don't remember even wiping somebody out. Actually, come to think of it, yeah, that is how it went down. It was 3 match, 3 match, 3 match time limit, 3 match. Oh, and I won on the last turn I could swing on one of them. That was pretty funny. So my deck, this was interesting because my Amonkhet pool was pretty poor. I mean, it was really, really not good. This one was like 2 cards away from being exceptional. If I would have had like an Angel or a Big Flying Demon or a bomb card like that Purple Rain, I'm just going to keep calling it Purple Rain because that's freaking awesome. I don't even remember the name of the damn card. Or like a Torment, a Curse, something really good. Okay, let me put it this way. You guys are going to be shocked that I basically went 3-1 with this deck. The best in it, when it was white-black by the way, is Baleful Amit and... let's see, the white card that brings out 2 soldiers with vigilance and then has Aftermath, destroy a creature, sack a creature. Those were the only noteworthy cards in my entire deck. I did have the Resurrector though, I gotta say that. I had the Resurrector where he's a 3/2 and you could exert him and bring something back straight from the graveyard to the battlefield, but almost nothing in my deck cost 2. And so the creature balance was good, the spell balance was good, the spells were powerful, the creatures were all moderately capable, very few vanilla creatures, but that's just, you know, honestly how the block was designed. I had a little bit of synergy with like zombies and stuff going on, and you know, whenever you cast a black spell, gain a life. Or red or blue, which I didn't have. You know, just some cool stuff, a little bit of lifelink, couple of flyers, you know, just kind of everything you would put together to make a moderately okay deck. But there was just no bombs. I mean, there was just nothing. There was absolutely nothing noteworthy in the deck. But it was mathematically solid. The one thing that I have to complain about was the complete and utter lack of anything that cost 2, basically. I think there's like 2 or 3 cards in there that cost 2. Almost everything in the deck cost 3, and then I had just a tiny amount of 4 cost and 0 5 and up. I didn't even have an X spell in there. I mean, I should show you guys this deck sometime. It is not good, but it is solid. Like I said, it's consistent, solid. There was absolutely 0 double black or double white whatsoever, which is probably why I had no noteworthy cards. I mean, hello, that's what they do to really powerful cards. So I didn't have hardly any color problems. I didn't pull a single fixing land of any kind. I did run 1 desert that you could sack to make a zombie just so that like a zombie would enter the battlefield or whatever. Oh wait, I didn't have a trigger for that. It was something like, oh yeah, I had the 3/3 where it can't block unless you own another zombie. I mean, the deck really was just blah. I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, I had like a 4-2. Ooh, I mean, Baleful, he puts a -1 on something on my side. That kind of sucked. A lot of drawback kind of stuff. A lot of if you're not running a desert, it sucks. I did get the camel and the desert out at the same time, though. That was kind of cool. I didn't have any equipment, and I only had like 2.5 removal spells, I guess I'll say, because the other one dumped 2 -1s on it. So how the hell did I win that much? How did I win 3 packs with that? I guess just because it was solid. I mean, a lot of it was luck, like draw luck or my opponent just pulling a land at the wrong time. I probably should have went like 1-3 with it. And this time, I wouldn't even say it was play decisions. I mean, I made, I think, 1 mistake the entire event, which is pretty good for me. But I mean, come on, 1/3 of the cards I've been playing with like for weeks. I'm very familiar with those cards and how they work. I'm not going to make a mistake. But not even just like misreading it, like, oh, I should have swung with this or I should have sacked this. I can only remember 1 mistake that I made, so that's not bad. My opponents, though, usually, my God, I'd run out of fingers if I was counting them. Like, holy crap. Not this time, though. I would not say that very many mistakes were made. Maybe 1 or 2 per entire round. Like one guy, he could have used a land to bounce one of his creatures that I put an aura on that pinned it down permanently, which I'm considering, by the way, one of my removal spells. That's how bad the removal was, and you already know what the other one was. It was an Aftermath removal. It wasn't good. Oh, I did have Sandblast, though, so I guess I had 3.5 removal. I did have the prevent all damage and redirect it to whoever you drop this aura on. That card was pretty damn funny. I mean, it's very situational, but it was really funny. I have a lot of respect for that, especially costing 2 and having flash. I'm probably going to do something with that in a white deck because that card is really damn good. It is like game ending under certain circumstances, and the circumstances, you probably would have lost the game. Like the more they're swinging with it, the more one-sided it is, the more likely you are to have it just destroy your opponent. So usually cards do the opposite. It's like, oh, if I have 10 creatures on the field, I can do this. Well, you probably would have won anyway. You don't even need that damn spell. So yeah, I won 3 packs with the most vanilla deck ever made. That is just hilarious. And honestly, nobody went away too butthurt. I mean, even the people were their whole game self-destructed because they just drew nothing but lands for like 3 turns in a row when they really needed to stop one of my creatures, and then they died. Or like when I hit them for exactly 11 damage and they had exactly 11 life. Nobody was like, oh, this is such a load of crap. Everybody was cool about it. So, yeah, I mean, I had a fun time, even though my pool was a little subpar. I mean, I would have had a more dynamic, big bomb-heavy one with a glaring drastic weakness if I would have went red or green. I was definitely going white, though. Also, I would have just killed my removal. I mean, red had probably 4. I thought, well, okay. And they're, like, situational, like, maybe it'll remove something. And then green had 0. But they had bigger creatures, but it was so big. I mean, like, all the creatures were, like, 3 to 6. So I don't think I would have done much better. Unlike the Aether Revolt one where I kind of screwed that up a little bit by misreading 2 cards and then making a color decision based on that. Whoops. But overall, it's just kind of strange that I didn't pick blue. But my blue pile was the worst out of the 5 by a long shot. Now, I saved the best story for last. This is hilarious. So one guy, I beat him in 3, and the first and third game, which are the ones I won, both of the times he got out the 8-cost mythic white enchantment that says all of your opponent's creatures lose all of their abilities. We're talking Death Touch. That's apparently an ability. Who knew? They lose everything and become 1/1s, and I beat him. I beat him with that on the field. Both of the times it was because of that Aftermath card that brings out 2 white soldiers and then destroys one of his creatures. That was insane. People were watching that one because we were like going to time or whatever. And I think that's the one where I beat him on like turn 4 out of the turns, going to turns because of the time limit. That was funny. I mean, I couldn't believe it. As soon as it came out, I'm like, whoa, I'm still going to win. Ha ha ha, joking. And then I'm like, oh my God, did I just win? Like for real? I think the first game he's like, oh good, 2 lands in a row. And then yeah, I just killed him with like 3 damage at a time. On the last game, I just top decked that removal the turn before. And then just bye-bye. So that was the best story out of the whole day from what I heard. I mean, oh my God. But wait, legends foretold about an even more awesome story that's going even more at the end of the video. So get this, somebody there was like, oh, you gotta tell me this. Are you Desolator Magic? And I'm like, yeah, and he's like, oh, that's cool. Nobody's that impressed. It's 26,000 subs. I mean, like, I don't think people even ask for an autograph until about 100,000, and even then. So he said, okay, I have one question and only one question. And I'm like, I already know it. I know the question, but hit me with it. And he says to me, your LGS from Hell series, I think I know which one it is. Is it so-and-so store? I'm like, oh, hell yes. I mean, you really gotta ask. He's like, well, I assumed that's what it was. He's like, now that it's you, I'm like, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. And even before that, even before I knew you lived in my area, I was pretty sure it was that one just based on the fact that it was in Wisconsin. Like I said, people, you will know it when you see it. If you are there, it will be blatantly damn obvious. That said, I've heard some stories about almost equally as bad ones that are actually also in Wisconsin. So I guess maybe I can't really say that you would know that you're at that particular one because there's a lot of sucky ones. I mean, if you don't limit it to Wisconsin, I've heard about like 50 really crappy ones. I mean, go watch MTG Lion and his awesome accounts of Groovy Geckos, the greatest LGS ever. I would summarize it as the second you walk in the door, you probably have hepatitis. Or I should say you caught well, both. Why the hell not? I mean, either or, but the place was a total crap hole. So I'd love to hear your best stories from, what do you call it? From the pre-release, whatever the hell the event was that I just went to. Leave it down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next video.